Hello all. Episode 7 of Agatha All Along was a bit of a surprise because there was actually a part I liked. I'd love to spend the next 5 minutes dumping all over this tripe, but I have to be honest, what's the point otherwise? So we'll probably only justifiably dump on it for about 4 of the 5 minutes. It has the usual issues with characterisation, inconsistencies, script and another nonsensical trial, but Lilia's story, as it's her trial, is actually nicely done and has some heart for a change. Though after watching the show, I realised that what I liked about it was taken from another show or film. I just can't remember which one. So on to the story and spoilers ahead. The episode starts with Lilia falling in blackness. I'm not totally sure who she's dressed as, but given it's a famous screen witch, I'm thinking Glinda from The Wizard of Oz. And given who the others are dressed as, I believe that's a bit of foreshadowing. Then we go back to the road and Billy and Agatha carrying on. Their characters seemingly different again. It's like the writers just changed them and the motivations to suit the scene. Honestly, when these two are on the screen, it's painful. Billy actually asks where Rio is, which is a question I've been asking for a couple of weeks. And I could surmise, but we'll get on to that. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what they were talking about the rest of the time. It was just more prattling. They see a house, walk in, and Agatha is transformed into the Wicked Witch of the West, and Billy, of course, because it's current day, becomes Maleficent, makeup and all. Because he couldn't possibly be a warlock or wizard, could he? They realise they have to do a tarot reading. Why? Who knows? Billy tries, but each card he pulls, a sword drops from the ceiling. More prattling and the ceiling of swords start to descend. Cue Lilia's shocked face. Her and Jennifer didn't die, but got sucked down beneath the road, and they're in an underground passageway, which is really badly realised, I have to say. As well designed, though not necessarily always well shot as the road is, this really just looks cheap. That aside, this is kind of the nice bit. Throughout the series, Lilia has been saying random things from nowhere, and it turns out that she's been living her life out of order recently. And whilst the other two are still prattling on the trial, she's shifting into scenes on the road and also back to her first day of training as a witch. So what we get are fractured scenes, but they're actually quite well put together so you can follow it. Patti LuPone does a really good job communicating Lilia's confusion and final acceptance of what this probably means. Turns out the Seven are also in this underground area. Why or how? I don't know, just because the story says so. Through this plethora of disjointed scenes, we discover that Rio is Death, which I think most of us knew. So presumably she was involved with Alice after she died, which is why she disappeared. That's headcanon though. We also discover that Lilia's first coven all died, which is why she's resistant to be part of another coven. After arriving in the trial area, Lilia realises it's her trial, tries to do a reading for Billy but more swords drop. Flashback to her chatting with her teacher, and she realises she needs to do a reading for herself, and through that has a moment of reflection, self-realisation and that final acceptance. I mean, the entire reading stuff is nonsense, but the connection to Lilia is quite nice. She succeeds and the ceiling rises, but the Seven are on their way. How again, I don't know. Lilia ushers them out of the room, telling Agatha to duck when Rio calls her a coward. But instead of going, she closes the door behind them, just as the Seven arrive. Lilia is no longer scatty, but assured, even though slightly afraid. And she turns the tower card upside down, and the room flips, causing the Seven to plummet to their deaths on the swords. Lilia holds the table for a few moments, then falls as she did at the start of the episode. The final scene is a young Lilia in the past, arriving for her first lesson. So the bad. Inconsistent writing all the way through. Don't leave the road. It'll be fine. Agatha crawls out, Jennifer and Lilia just fall through. Why? How? How did the Seven get down there? I thought the road was perilous and had rules. Don't they apply to them? How could they walk into someone else's trial? They weren't supposed to be able to do that. And why have they been built up to be this threat? Because again, they're utterly and completely ineffectual. They just do the creepy walking and that's it. Billy and Agatha's characters are all over the place. As mentioned earlier, it's pretty much as the story they want to tell requires. There's no consistency. The good, basically as I've outlined, is Patti LuPone and Lylia's arc. I thought the time jumping was handled well and her ending was satisfying. Finally, a selfless, heroic act. Something that's been very lacking in the MCU recently. Some of it was inconsistent, like warning Agatha, but I guess that was part of the acceptance that this was her coven now. And it's why she was Glinda, the good witch, whilst the others were evil witches. It was foreshadowing that sacrifice. More significantly though, we've got the morality problem again. If you think about it, she has just saved evil witches, one being a serial killer, from the people who are trying to stop her and get revenge for their murdered family. She kind of just killed the good guys. As I say, I know the time jumping idea isn't original, and I know it was taken from another movie or series, but I'm buggered if I can think of it. If you do know, please put me out of my misery and put it in the comments. So finally, an element of this series that I thought was okay. I mean, it's wrapped in a whole swathe of crap, but it worked quite well. I would say this one moment would never make me recommend this show to anybody. Did you think elements of this mainly bad episode were actually good, or just more of the same garbage? I'm just curious to know whether it's just me. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. Peace out.